Hello, everyone. It is Steph. We are continuing our conversation about Cal Newport's slow productivity. This month, I introduced his second principle, which is to work at a natural pace. Just as a quick refresher, working at a natural pace, he defines as the following. Don't rush your most important work. Allow it instead to unfold along a sustainable timeline with variations in intensity in settings conducive to brilliance. So, Cal Newport, once again, slow productivity. Here is just how difficult it is to embrace a natural pace. Okay, I'm going to tell you the story of my friend John. So, John, once upon a moon, was a consultant for a company in New Mexico, and they were looking at launching a completely different division of their very successful business. And so they hired John to help them figure this out. And so John went to their office and he was in this beautiful conference room. He took a legal pad and a pen. He reserved the conference room for the day and he sat in it by himself. And he just sat there and he thought about what the company was trying to achieve and what they wanted to do with this division and who it was that they had to appeal to for their audience, all the variables that you have to consider when you're growing a completely different branch of a corporation, right? So he sat alone in this room with his legal pad, with his pen, and just thought for a day. It made everyone bananas. So through the conference room, there's conference room windows, and everyone working in the other part of the office walked past this space all day, just wondering, what the hell is this guy doing nothing in this space? Like he said, he could actually feel how crazy this was making people. But John is not an easily deterred person. He knows his process. And his process is to think his way through the variables. And he'd get an idea and he would jot it down and he would think that through and it would lead to the next idea, the next set of questions. He'd write those down and he spent the whole day in contemplation. Now, this is just one day, mind you. What Cal Newport talks about in his book is kind of an entire method of creating more space and more time and embracing this as a regular part of your routine. John did this for a day and it was driving people crazy. This is how ingrained it is in us to be in constant motion. Like activity is like, what do they call it? Virtue signaling, right? Activity is like a virtue signal. Look at how busy I am. Look at how productive I am. But are the results of all of that activity really as good as they could be? Or could they have been better if we were conditioned to sit and think before we acted? So the result of John's story was, after he thought his way through for, again, just one day, folks, he took all these questions to his client and he got answers and he went, deeper with it and then built out a plan that resulted in his client being able to launch a division of their company faster and more successfully than anything else that they had ever done. So slow productivity is not a luxury. It's a necessity if you really want to build toward the highest possible result, the best possible result. And figuring out, in as much as it makes sense for you and the scope of your obligation, the scope of your ambition, in as much as it makes sense for you, how can you protect a bit of time, either every week or every month, and give yourself permission to sit with something and think about it deeply. Not necessarily, taking action on it, but just thinking about it and kind of massaging ideas and testing it and seeing where it takes you, making space for that process. In my last video, I shared with you how I set aside time on my own calendar and gave you an example of a project that I'm working on that requires slow productivity. I have to really think my way through what it is that I'm working on. So yes, I am getting something accomplished during these times. I am producing something, but it's at a slow contemplative pace that I have to train myself to think about what is the outcome that I'm trying to achieve and get out of that mode of I'm showing up at this time in the space to check a box, right? John wasn't out to check a box. He was out to think his way through how to build something substantial and impactful. So I share this with you because it's important that I let you know that I know how hard this is, because we are not culturally conditioned to think like this. We are culturally conditioned to be on the move and to do things as quickly as possible, and sometimes with as little deep thought as possible, because we want to signal to those around us that we are very busy and we are very important and we are able to get a lot done, and that this is our badge of honor. That is the culture that we come from. So buck the trend and stop and think your way through things. Think about the ripple effects, think about cause and effect, and think about the result that you're really aiming for, and what would it take to move you and your business closer to that outcome, and what is a more natural pace to create and implement that. Okay. As always, when I suggest these things, I know it's not necessarily easy, and I want you to know that I'm always here to help you with that, should you need any assistance or you have any questions. So I hope that that is helpful to you. We're going to move on to the third principle of slow productivity next month. I've really enjoyed reading this book, thinking about it, and then sharing my thoughts about it with you. If there's a book that you have read that has made an enormous impression on you, and it's something that you think that I should read and could do a series on, it would be a benefit to others, please feel free to share your favorite reads with me. I'd like to know. Hope you're having a great week. I'll see you again in a couple of Wednesdays, and good luck working slowly and deliberately. Take care, guys. Bye.